Hello and welcome to Ilagan Whiteboard Fridays, where we look at various tax and compliance related issues in a user-friendly fashion. So today we will look at if you are trying to convert a LLP to a private limited company, that's a limited liability partnership to a private limited company, what are the things that you should be knowing about it. So first and foremost, to convert an LLP to a private limited, you should have a minimum number of 7 partners. So generally people form an LLP with 2 people. But if you want to convert it to a private limited, you should have a minimum 7 partners in the LLP. So either you have to induct 5 more, 4 more, whatever, depending on how many partners are already there. You have to reach this number of 7. Once you do that, then you will have to take an approval from all the partners that the LLP needs to be converted to a private limited company. After that, you will have to do a newspaper advertisement that this is the LLP which is planning to convert into a private limited company. The newspaper advertisement should be in 2 newspapers at least, one which is national newspaper which is circulated nationally, and then one in the local newspaper. So advertisement has to be given and certain time has to be observed. So if somebody has any objections or anything, they can actually record their objections. Then in case of LLPs, so the LLP would be registered with a particular ROC jurisdiction. So, and no objection certificate from the ROC in which the LLP is registered has to be obtained. And then you can start the process of converting to a private limited, which is more like a procedural. You'll have to take a name approval and then file various documents prescribed, and then go ahead and convert the LLP to a private limited company. So that's probably the thing. This has been a long pending demand because earlier LLP to private limited was not available. As per law it was always available, but the process was not very clearly defined, but now it is possible to do that. So many times when you have started as an LLP and then now if your business needs actually want you to convert to a private limited, then that's the thing that you should be taking care of. And that's how you can actually go about converting an LLP to a private limited company. Now once, since you are converting one form to another form of business, there are certain tax considerations that comes into picture and which you should actually look for carefully. Otherwise you could actually end up paying a lot of taxes on capital gains and other indirect taxes as well. So let's look at it what it is. So capital gains, so whenever a company is whenever your LLP is converting to a private limited, whatever assets of the company and liabilities of the company would also get carried forward. So there could be a lot of assets like computers, land, machinery, building or any other IP, all those things. So generally you don't end up paying any capital gains on it. So especially on the capital assets when you are transferring. So but if you want to avail the exemption of capital gains, that is if you don't want to pay the capital gains, then you should take care of multiple conditions. Some of the important ones are here. This is not the exhaustive list. Some more conditions, but this is one. The first and the foremost is, so when you are converting your LLP to a private limited company, you will have a ratio of various partners. Like every partner would be contributing to the, would have contributed to the LLP in a specific ratio. There would have been a certain profit sharing ratio also defined. So the shareholding, when the company gets converted to private limited, then in private limited you have shares. Right? So the shareholding of all the partners, that is all the partners becomes the shareholders, that should remain the same. So if that is not same, then capital gains could come in. So for example, if there are 7 in say 10, 15%, 20%, so the same ratio gets carried forward in the new structure also, and the shareholding should be as per whatever was there in the LLP. If that is not the same, then capital gains could kick in. The aggregate voting rights should not fall below 50%. So all the 7 people or more who actually at the time of conversion to the new private limited company. So the voting rights of all these people put together should not go below 50% in the next 5 years. So from the date of conversion to 5 years, if the voting rights, aggregate voting rights fall below 50%, then capital gains could kick in. So two things: one, aggregate voting rights should remain more than 50% in the new entity, and the shareholding should remain same for the next 5 years, so that the capital gains can be avoided. So any new investments or investors that you are bringing in, you can always bring that, but your shareholding should not change. It should proportionately would come down, but the shareholding pattern would remain the same. And one more important thing, so when you convert from LLP to private limited company, none of the partners should receive any cash or any other kinds of benefits, say some laptops you give or some other assets you give it to partners. So those things should not happen, or the partner should not get any benefits other than just the shares of the new company. So when the new company is floated, you get shares. So all your contribution in the LLP gets transferred to the private limited, and against that you get shares for the new company. So apart from that, no other benefit should have been received by the partners of the LLP. So these are three major conditions. There are some more conditions, so it's good to talk to a tax expert and take their views when you are trying to do that, as to what all things you should be looking at. So if you want to avoid the capital gains, then these are the three major points that you should be looking at. Now, capital gains is part of the income tax, which is also called the direct taxes. There are certain things that you should also be looking at, the indirect taxes, things like Senvet credit. Now, Senvet credit is something like, so if you are paying an excise duty or a service tax to anyone, so you get a credit for that. So if you are collecting service tax, you set off whatever is your input cost and then make the payment. So for example, if there is a scenario where your input costs are higher, or input credit is higher than what you actually end up paying, and this is especially true more at the starting phase of the business, where your business has not grown up but your costs are substantially high and you have been paying a lot of excise duty or service tax to various vendors or suppliers, wherever it is. So that credit are not allowed to carry it forward. So in case if there is any balance credit which you have already not set off, then that balance you cannot carry it forward. So that is one thing that you should evaluate thoroughly, because if you have say lakhs of rupees locked in here, then you will have to either forego the benefit of that, or so that's a substantial cost. So please look at that aspects as well. Now coming back to stamp duties, so stamp duties is generally incurred whenever there is an instrument. So when you execute a particular instrument between two parties, then stamp duties come into picture. But since all the assets are transferring from LLP to private limited by way of transfer, so the stamp duties on those aspects can be avoided, irrespective of whether it is land, building, machinery or anything. Since this is happening by way of conversion, it is not considered as a true sale transaction kind of thing. It's more of a transfer transaction. So that's where the stamp duties can be avoided. So that's a good thing for you. But Senvet credit actually is very important. Please look at that, how much money is locked in there. And if it is substantial, it may not be a bad idea to defer the conversion for some time until you actually utilize your Senvet credit and take benefit of that. Otherwise, that adds to your cost of conversion or your cost or losses. Capital gains we have already discussed. So these are broadly the things that you should look at when converting an LLP to a private limited. That's it on eLagan Whiteboard Friday today. Feel free to drop us an email at support@elagan.com or check out our knowledge base at elagan.com/kb. Thank you.